Have you ever bought a gorgeous orchid, brought it home, and then just watched it struggle? Well, the reason why might just blow your mind. It's this wild horticultural paradox. For almost 200 years, we have been taking a plant that evolved to live in the air, and we've been burying it in a pot. Today, we're going to talk about how to set it free.
So let's just start with a really provocative question, shall we? What if that beautiful pot sitting on your windowsill, the very thing you think is keeping your orchids safe and sound, is actually the source of all your problems? What if it's really just a slow-motion coffin? And that idea brings us right into our first section, the great potted lie. Here's the truth, plain and simple. The pot was never for the orchid. It was for us. It's a convenience, right? It makes them easy to ship and display in a store, but it completely ignores what the plant actually needs to thrive.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It is night and day. On the one hand, you have the pot, which is basically a prison. It traps moisture, creating this stagnant, damp environment with no airflow. And that is the #1 cause of root rot. Plus, you can't even see what's going on with the roots. But on the other hand, you have the mount, and the mount is freedom. You get 360-degree airflow, it dries out quickly, and you can see every single root. It's a totally different world for the plant.
Okay, so why is all this airflow so incredibly important? To really get it, we need to take a little trip back in time, like millions of years back, and have a look at the orchid's evolutionary blueprint. Let's explore its original home, life in the canopy. The whole key to understanding orchids is this one word, epiphyte. It literally means upon a plant. They are, for all practical purposes, air plants. They don't grow in the dirt, they grow on other plants, way up high in the branches of trees. And you might ask, why did they evolve to do that? Well, it all comes down to survival. Think about it. Down on the rainforest floor, it is dark. The canopy above blocks out a staggering 98% of the sunlight. So to survive, orchids made this incredible evolutionary leap. They started to climb. They left the soil behind and made a new life for themselves on the branches, just to get a little closer to the sun.
And this right here is the amazing result of that evolution. Orchid roots are nothing like the roots on your other houseplants. They are not designed for digging into soil. Nope. They're designed for 3 very specific things: gripping onto tree bark, sensing the world around them, and, most importantly, breathing. You see that spongy, silvery layer on the outside? That's called the velamen, and it works like a high-tech sponge, soaking up moisture from the air and even helping with photosynthesis. Burying these roots in a pot is like putting a blindfold on one of the plant's most vital organs.
So, how do we fix this? If pots are the problem, then mounting is the solution. This next part is all about the art of mounting and how you can finally give your orchid the ancestral home it's been craving.
First things first, you've got to choose your mount. And you've got some great options here. Cork bark is really the gold standard. It lasts for decades, it's sustainable, and it has this great rugged texture for roots to grab onto. Tree fern is another option. It holds more water, but it's a bit more fragile. And then there's driftwood, which looks amazing, but it dries out fast, so you'll need to water more often.
Now, this next part is absolutely crucial, so listen up. Whatever you choose, it must be raw, untreated, and pesticide-free. You know the chemicals in treated lumber that keep your backyard deck from rotting? Well, those same chemicals are completely toxic to the delicate root tips of an orchid. It will kill the plant, full stop.
The process itself is pretty simple, almost like a little ritual. Step 1, place the orchid on the wood, so its new growth is facing the mount. That encourages it to grow across the surface. Step 2, tuck a small nest of sphagnum moss around its base. This just acts as a little moisture buffer. And step 3, and this is the most important part, you have to secure it tightly. I'm talking zero movement. If the plant can wobble, its brand new root tips will snap right off as they try to attach. Just remember this, stability is the key to all new growth.
All right, so once your orchid is free from its pot, you've got a new responsibility. You are now in charge of the weather. By taking away the pot, you have to step in and assume the role of the tropical sky, and that means a whole new care schedule.
Yeah, the watering rhythm is completely different. With a pot, you might water once a week, maybe less. On a mount, you're probably going to be watering almost every day, especially when it's warm. But don't think of it as a chore. You're getting to simulate the natural rhythm of the rainforest, a quick, drenching rain followed by a rapid dry down in the breeze. This is exactly what the plant is built for.
And because there's no soil to hold on to nutrients, you have to adjust how you feed it too. The rule of thumb is super simple, weekly. You give it a frequent, very diluted dose of fertilizer. This perfectly mimics the nutrient-rich water that would trickle down over its roots in the wild, from things like decaying leaves and, well, bird droppings.
So after you've made these changes, what's the payoff? What's the reward? Well, it's so much more than just a healthier plant. You actually get to watch a living sculpture come to life in your home. You get to embrace the wild.
This quote just nails it. We're so often taught that roots growing outside the pot are messy, but they're not. They are a sign of a happy, thriving, wild thing. Seriously, watching those silver-green roots grip and crawl their way across a piece of bark is one of the coolest, most rewarding things you can experience as a plant person.
And the health dividend? Oh, it's undeniable. With all that constant airflow, root rot becomes pretty much impossible. The plant is way less likely to get pests or diseases. It just becomes hardier, more resilient. And the ultimate reward for all of this? More frequent and longer-lasting blooms. It is a total win-win. So, in the end, it really all boils down to this one question. Do you want to be the owner of a pretty decoration, one that's probably destined for a slow decline in its plastic pot? Or do you want to become the steward of a true biological marvel and give it the life it was actually born to live? The choice, as they say, is yours.